younger and softer than ever. So if you occasionally offer criticism, you're seen as harsh and too intense. And I've said this about Jayson Tatum. I'm viewed as a Tatum critic, but I love his game. It's aesthetically pleasing. He's long. He's fluid. He's a three-level scorer. But I have been saying for years, last year it was like Brown and Marcus Smart were the alphas. He was like a third. He was the best player, but late in games, it's like Marcus Smart would be taking shots. He's a defensive guy. And I said during these playoffs, I think Jaylen Brown's the alpha. Well, he won the Eastern Conference Final MVP and last night the Finals MVP. It's not a myth. Jaylen Brown's the go-to guy. He guarded Luka way more than Tatum. He was more efficient. He shot the ball better. He's the alpha. Scoring 31 when you're up 21 at half does not conjure up memories of Michael Jordan. Again, I think he's a terrific player. But Jaylen Brown did the Luka guarding. Jaylen Brown was more efficient. That game 3, remember? It got tight, could have gone either way. It was the big dunk by Brown. It was the 20-footer by Jaylen Brown. He had the 2 biggest baskets. It's not a knock on Tatum. It's a reality. He scored under 20 in 3 of 5 games. If you look at his regular season numbers against a very weak Eastern Conference, which are staggeringly good compared to his finals numbers, he punched below his weight. He shot 26% from 3 in the finals. That's just who he is. So last night when he didn't win the MVP, I'm like, guys, recency bias. It was a blowout. He was elegant. He's a beautiful basketball player. But that doesn't, Brad Stevens told you the truth. Brad Stevens wanted to make this team more of an offensive collaboration than Tatum dependent. They weren't doing that with MJ. They weren't doing that with Kobe. They're not doing that with Bird. Bird had other players he played with, but everybody knew who took the final shot. That's okay. But the general manager told you what he thought was championship basketball. Across 11 finals games in his career, he shoots 38%. Just numbers. Facts over feelings. I didn't make the numbers up. So I've said, I think he deserves to be a champion. He's a wonderful player. But historically, Tatum is unique. Usually our stars, your Magics, your Birds, I mean, I don't even have to name them. They sort of grab that big moment. They grab it by the throat and they take it over. He doesn't do that. And so I think it's very fair to say he and Brown, who's better? Depends. I trust Brown and his defense and his aggressiveness more than I trust Tatum in a big moment. But I think Tatum is more aesthetically pleasing and a more talented player. 2 things can be true. By the way, for all of you that think I'm too harsh, Steph Curry had 2 MVPs and 3 trophies. And before that win over the Celtics, you were still demanding that Steph Curry prove it to you. And I thought that was insane. Tatum, until last night, did not have a championship trophy. Steph had 3, 2 MVPs. I think 1 or both were unanimous. Best shooter on the planet. Great in big moments. And to the end, we were questioning Steph Curry. I can't go, yeah, I think Brown's the alpha. I think on any given night, Tatum's more talented. I trust Brown in big spots. Go look at who won the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals and the Finals. It's not criticism to just say, here's the numbers. Here are the facts. I saw this headline today. Jayson Tatum silencing the critics. He didn't silence me. I still have questions if I would trust him in a big spot. He's just really talented. Here he is after.
This is a career-defining accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Say that again, please.
A career-defining accomplishment.
Please say that again. These last 7 years have been a roller coaster, up and down. I had to listen to all the that people said about me. And tonight, it was worth it. Oh, my God.
Yeah. He silenced his critics. Who won the finals MVP? Wasn't Pippen winning those? Was Pippen winning those? I mean, your most valuable player. Who guarded Luka? Oh, I'm a hater. Remember what people were saying like 3 years ago with Steph, who had 3 trophies, 2 MVPs. Everybody was on. Steph hasn't proven it. And I'm like, he won before KD. He won during KD. That's not good enough. You got to win another one? And you demanded he did. And he did, as KD had left. So I don't think questioning some things about Tatum, sorry, I don't think it's out of bounds. I mean, you get to the top of the mountain, wind blows a little harder, as they say. J. Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Hater.
Oh,
Hater
gosh,
aid.
He's on one today, folks. You mentioned facts over feelings. We should probably point out 2 other facts. Who led the Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists in the finals? Oh, it was Jayson Tatum. Right. And in the entire postseason, who led the Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists?
Yeah,
that's right, Jayson
He
Tatum.
is their most talented player.
Does everything.
Yeah, he is good in those blowouts.
And by the way, MVP voting, did you see it was like 7-4, the media, the ink-stained wretches voting? For some reason, they hate Tatum because he's came up empty in the finals, in the conference finals last year. They don't like him.
NBA media doesn't hate any player.
They do not. I'm telling you, they don't love Tatum.
It's the softest media of the sports medias.
I don't
Football
disagree with
media
that.
can be intense. Soccer media, tough. Baseball media, snarky. NBA media they like stories. They always lean to be nice to the young players, which is not a terrible habit, but nobody's anti-Tatum. Media now is so soft. I mean, you go back to the Dick Young New York Post days, media was mean in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Like, the media now is young.
Well, a year ago, they tried to run off Missoula. I mean, there's headlines in the Boston Globe about Joe Missoula's got to go.
What are you talking about?
When they lose to the Heat.
Okay. And Brad Stevens had to empower the staff because he did get worked. This is Boston. The standard in Boston is you have the best coach and you win the game. It's not you get worked by Eric Spoelstra and lose to Bam Adebayo and Butler when you have a better roster. You're saying this is criticism, and I'm saying Missoula did deserve criticism. He got worked by Spoelstra, and that's okay. He was a young coach. But Brad Stevens won Executive of the Year. Brad, who coached this group, he coached this group, right? He knew the deficiencies. He knew the more Tatum dependent they were, he didn't have great trust in that. So he augmented this team with 2 more skilled offensive players. He made it less Tatum dependent, more collaborative, and it worked brilliantly. But Brad Stevens doesn't hate the Celtics.
No.
He recognized a weak coaching staff and a Tatum habit to step back, not lean into huge moments.
Well, remember, they also had Marcus Smart last year, who was like, hey, it's the fourth quarter. I need the ball. I need the rock, kind of like me in men's league games. Marcus Smart's jacking shots. It's like, dude, I know you're a leader.
No.
We got to move on from you. And I think that was a big addition by subtraction. Remember, they moved on from Grant Williams, too. I think Grant Williams was there last night. Anyways, let's get to the stories. First up, Colin, Trevor Lawrence got his big contract on Friday, $55 million per year. Now we're waiting, and it sounds like Tua Tagovailoa is closing in on a deal. The latest report indicates he and the Dolphins are in the ballpark on a new contract. Could happen this week. One number being floated, Colin. You're not going to like it, but it's a 4-year deal, which would average him out at $49.6 million a year, right under that magic 50.
No,
more than Kyler Murray.
Shouldn't be paid more than Kyler, but whatever.
Give me a break. So there's a big gap. Kyler Murray signed his deal, I think, like 3 years ago, and at 46, and then Hurts is at 50. I can't.
I would much prefer he come around in the 43, 44 million.
That's not happening. That is not happening.
It's not, but I would say they kept him under 50, and I think that's reasonable. I think Tua should be in the 4s, not the 5s. And so that's fine. I don't have a problem with Trevor, Joe, Jared, Justin, Lamar. I think Jalen Hurts I'd be a little concerned about based on his decline post Shane Steichen. Most of these guys are paid. I mean, to me, obviously Mahomes, keeps reworking his deal. But I generally don't have a problem with any of these. I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan, so I don't need to regurgitate that. But I think if you can get Tua in the 40s, I'd rather go low to mid 40s, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. Listen, Dolphins are going to need him to contend. I still don't